It's limited. It's available for the next 48 hours, and after that, it will be gone.
Let's create some urgency. Hey guys, editing Nicole. So sometimes I have ideas after I record. It happens. So in this broadcast, we're going to count how many times Jeff Bullas says something is important. You're welcome. Also, sorry. Also, just as a reminder that Zoe made us a Nicole Reacts bingo card. The link to it is in the show notes, as well as links to Zoe's stuff if you want to check her out, because she's a video expert. So without further ado, let's get this started. Hey everyone, welcome to Nicole Reacts, where I, Nicole, react to online marketing guru trainings that I and now other people help me find on the internet. My qualifications for snark and commentary that I've owned a marketing company for the last 14, almost 15 years. In addition to that, I've started 2 non-marketing businesses in that time, which means I've seen marketing both from the business owner needing services side of things, as well as the agency owner providing services side of things. So today's topic is a part 2. It was funny. I was editing part 1 and I thought, oh, this one's really short. And then I remembered, right, it was a long video. And so I'm trying this as a 2-parter. So as a reminder, Jeff Bullas is an internet marketing person that seemed to have peaked around 2014. This training was uploaded in 2016. So, but it might have been recorded a little bit earlier, is kind of what we found out. And what we're going to do is we're going to start with the part 2 of the 5 key strategies for web traffic training. Jeff Bullas kind of seems anti-ads in this, so I'm not sure if he's talking to fellow bloggers or small business owners, just general people with a small budget who maybe can't afford ads. But yeah, so anyway, we talked about social media and search engines in part 1. I'll link to part 1 in the show notes below if you want to go watch it. That said, you should be able to watch part 2 and still get stuff out of it, even if you didn't watch part 1. And it looks like part 2 here is starting with email. So we watched 30 minutes last time. We're watching 30 minutes this time. So probably with snark, it's probably going to be close to an hour, because apparently I have a lot of thoughts and feelings about basically internet marketing in general, which is kind of what this presentation is about, is how to get traffic to your website using these different online tools. So without further ado, let's check in with Jeff.
So remember we talked about owning your traffic. This is your email list. So this is strategy number 3.
So just as a brief refresher here, there is 3 kinds of traffic, or you could also say 3 kinds of media, which was talked about a little bit in part 1. So the 3 kinds of media, or the 3 kinds of traffic in this case, are earned media. So that's like, I don't know, people talking about you on social media, or maybe a news website writing about you or something like that. The stuff you don't own, right, is earned. And then you have owned media. So these is your website and your email list, which is he's about to talk about. And then there is paid media. So these are advertisements and things like that. So 3 kinds of media, or 3 kinds of traffic in this case. So this is going to be all about email, which should be interesting.
That will get you that free traffic without paying Google or Facebook. Again, the challenge is it takes time to build that list. And I really didn't work hard on this from day one. So I've made all these mistakes. I didn't really optimize early on for search engines. I didn't concentrate on building that email list.
I love how I busted my ass trying to do this stuff. And this middle-aged white guy just waltzes in, and anyway, I digress. But yeah, you can't do everything that you're supposed to do, right? There's so many things you're supposed to do as a marketing person, and you just can't do them all and still have a functional life. So just saying.
So today, I've fixed those. I learned from, trying different things and realized that I needed to get this own traffic to build that list. But it takes time. All right. Now, what's really great about it, though, is it's not relying upon changing algorithms or, Facebook changing the rules. Really important to understand that. So remember this diagram? Paid and earned.
Whoops. I didn't realize he was going to show it again. I thought he was going to be like past presenters and just pretend that graphics didn't exist. So this is what I was just talking about.
Goal as a blogger and a website owner, whether you're running an e-commerce site, whether you have a corporate, website, is basically when you get people showing up on your website, is to convert them in.
I hate that he squished this graphic. Like it looks like the letters are a little bit stretched out. He could have like resized it and preserved the all right, I'm gonna shut up now. You know me. I love a good presentation.
To basically own traffic. Really, really important to understand that. And I would recommend to all of you is start implementing this tactic straight after this webinar.
What tactic?
Speak to your website designer. I don't know if you care who it is. Just start doing this.
I don't know if you care who it is.
And of course, we've all seen.
It's kind of, to me, as somebody who had to learn a lot of website stuff to do my own marketing stuff, this disdain that marketers have for like the website making grunts just bugs me, as does the completely dismissive nature that a lot of web designers have for marketing people. The reality is like we need to be working together, and yeah, we do care who does our website, or we do care how our website works if we own a website. Just thought that was kind of a throwaway comment.
Give away something for free. All right. One of the most successful ones still works for me well is giving away free ebooks. The challenge with these is they do take a little bit of time.
Yeah, throwing together an ebook even takes some time. So not only do you have to come up with the content, but you have to format it. Although tools like Canva have made this process a lot easier. Also, look at this graphic. 2010 called and they want their graphic back.
Okay. So if you maybe don't have the time, you can maybe hire someone to write them for you. There's plenty of writers out there. A lot of journalists have been laid off, guys. So understand that.
Also, a lot of journalists are being laid off. So my last real job was at a newspaper. I wasn't a journalist, but I did write some articles. Maybe I'll link to some of them, but I have a feeling they're not online anymore. They've changed platforms a couple of times, but that was kind of a throwaway comment. Also, at this time, writers used to be really cheap. And the thing is, now after the pandemic and people understanding what they're worth, you can't hire creative people cheaply anymore, which I think is a good thing. So this whole like, you can hire an unemployed journalist, like, Jeff, F all the way off, man. Like you hit marketing at just the right time and this took off for you. Like you don't need to disparage other people.
Getting a free book is a great way. And I've found this tactic to work very, very well. And then put this, call to action box at the top right-hand corner of your blog or your website. Use a pop-up. Okay, and one I've been using lately, this isn't it here, but is one from Sumo Me, which uses a welcome mat. I found that is an incredible way to actually capture those important emails by giving that.
All the marketing gurus make the email pop-up happen right away. I think it's a little bit gross because it's like, I don't know, like I haven't even loaded your website yet. How do I know that I want to be on your email list? So as I mentioned in a previous video, I think mine pops up after you've been on my website for 2 minutes or something, but anyway, there's definitely ways to get people to sign up for your email newsletter, little tactics on your website, like these pop-ups, or you can even integrate it. If you have a contact form, integrate it into your contact form. So someone go to the contact form of my website, you actually have to, if you go here and you see the little checkbox that says add me to the email list, you'll see that it's not auto-checked. You have to check it off. And I would say 4 out of 5 people who fill out that form tick off that box voluntarily. So just a little PSA that might be a good thing as well, in case he doesn't mention it.
That's something away for free. Now, you can offer massive value, just like we have here with Kissmetrics. Great to have, something that's of massive value. The challenge.
Massive value, yeah. The amount of time it would take to compile 150 case studies and format them, this was someone's full-time job, probably for at least a couple of months. So asking a small business to create something of massive value if content creating isn't their full-time job can be a lot to ask.
Offering massive value is you're going to have to, there's a lot of work to do that. Again, You can maybe outsource that.
What I love is these people like outsource that. Well, like, I don't know, if you outsourced it, how much did it cost you? Or just like give a range. People have no idea. They're like, oh, you mean a website doesn't cost like $100 anymore? The amount of people I have to tell that, well, I get that your brother-in-law designed this website for $500 15 years ago, but, web check technology has changed a lot. You'd be surprised at how many times I have to have this conversation in a given week. So, just outsource it. Do this huge thing for your business. And throw some money at the problem. Because the premise of this whole video is key strategies to grow your web traffic without paying for ads. You know what'll grow your traffic faster than this? Paying for ads. This is going to take you a couple of months to pull together. 150 case studies is a lot. I mentioned the ebook that I did for my co-working space a little. I forget what video I mentioned it in, but that was like 14 pages. And it probably took me like 3 days to write it, not like full-time days, but like I would work on it and then I would come back to it. So I don't know, it probably took me 10 hours and then it probably took me another 5 hours to format it. So, and I'm pretty comfortable with writing and formatting, and it took me about 15 hours. So just kind of putting this in realistic terms for you that are a little bit more detailed than just outsource it.
But you don't have to do that. You can actually make it quite simple. This is the one I actually offer on my opt-in monster app, which actually captures emails when.
Opt-in monster. And SumoMe is also a WordPress plugin. So I guess you could make a one-pager. This seems like a lot less work than my 14-page ebook.
People go to exit the site. So
So one thing you can do with programming a pop-up is you can have it show up whether the person has been on the site for a certain length of time, if they've looked at a certain page or pages, or if there is an intent to exit. And I think they probably measure that by how your cursor is moving across the page to, close out the tab. So you can make a pop-up happen with an intent to exit. So that's totally a thing.
It can just be a simple one-page PDF. And think about it, this shouldn't be that. This will not take much to actually put together. All right. And the thing to remember is think about the tools that,
Yeah, it doesn't look great, dude. Honestly. It looks kind of crunched together. It's also a product of its time, right? Like this was probably made in 2013 or something. So this is what graphic design was like 10 years ago. Like the fact that you can get a transparent BuzzSumo logo in a different color to match the other 4 logos that are on the page. The fact that the text is sort of lined up, but like it seems like the spacing between the paragraphs looks a bit off. In particular, the Aweber one looks a lot different than the other ones. And I'm not sure if that's because the Yoast one seems crowded next to it. Anyway, point being is that like this is not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen, right? So, yeah. Your customers are going to want something more attractive than this in 2022.
Have worked for you, and just think about what is a group of those that would offer people great value. If they use these tools, they can grow their traffic, web traffic. That's what I'm talking about. Think about a golf site, for example. If they said these are the best clubs to use, it's the tools for the golfer. So, and we always see this, people are wanting to use the pro golfers' best tools, the guys at number 1 in the world. That's why Nike will sponsor them. Here's the clubs, go and buy them. And people think by buying those clubs, they're going to be, just like Tiger Woods. or maybe like he used to be.
I don't think people think they're going to be like that. I think they're going to be better golfers than they are right now. I don't think most people have delusions of grandeur of being like one of the best golfers in the world.
So it can be really simple, guys. It doesn't have to be complex. Maybe mix it up and try and see which ones work best. Boost blog traffic. John Morrow does a great job here. He actually just has the homepage as an opt-in form, essentially.
Basically, put your email sign-up form different places on your website. Have it pop up on the exit intent. Have it pop up when people go to the site. Have it on the homepage. Like, we get it. You put this different places so that if people come to different pages of your website, they're going to see the email opt-in form and hopefully opt in.
Just enter your email, submit, and he'll give you this great cheat sheet for writing blog posts that go viral. Okay. So
I thought he just said, okay, this was in part one. He said that we can't do anything that'll go viral. And this marketing, just John Morrow guy is promising you to go viral. Ew. No one can make you go viral. Nice try, though.
These are really important, just ideas for you to actually test. Some of you might be more comfortable with an ebook. Some of you might just want to do a simple page PDF. Maybe do both and see how they work. The other thing too is, and I just found here, is Leadpages is one of the best tools I've discovered to quickly and easily build landing pages that allow you, and we use.
Okay, mini Nicole rant here. And if you use a landing page software, please feel free to comment on what I'm about to say. I don't understand why people pay for a landing page software. If you want a landing page, you literally create a new page on your website and drag and drop elements into it. I don't get why you need special software to do this. And if you have a special domain name you want to use, just buy the domain name and redirect it to that page that you just made. If you're already paying for like web hosting and WordPress or whatever, or you're already paying for Square, why not just use the software you're already paying for? Why do you need special landing page software? I genuinely don't understand this one. So if there is a reason that you use landing page software and maybe I'm just not getting it, please leave a comment. I'm really curious about this. This guy has a WordPress site and clearly he has a team of people who can build him things. Like, I could build this thing for him in WordPress in like maybe 30 minutes. And it would probably take him as long to build it in Leadpages, I'm guessing, but maybe he's doing a affiliate or something with Leadpages.
Them for this webinar. Both Tom and I both use Leadpages, and you can actually create something like this in just a few minutes, and then integrate it into your email package. So essentially, Leadpages offer these easy to create landing pages that you can use to actually.
Yeah, when you send an email, you just make a button that says sign up and just send people to the page, like if it's a workshop or something. Send people, when they click sign up, send them directly to the workshop sign up page. Don't just send them to your homepage and have them figure it out. I don't get, this little counter thing might be something. The reason I said half an hour is because I was like, I might have to install a counter plugin in WordPress and then make it match the colors on your site. So I guess if he can make it in 5 minutes, I might be able to make this in 20 if I had all the text and everything. So yeah, this isn't that hard to make, whether you're using landing page software or not.
Capture those emails. Okay. Fourth tactic, content marketing. Content marketing. Essentially, the power of content to attract an audience to you is, become the new.
So we just talked about giving somebody something free to download when they give you their email address, right? We said, we can throw together a white paper. A white paper is kind of content marketing. So I don't know why he's making this distinction here. And hear the hesitation in his voice as he tries to figure out how to explain that this is different than the thing we were just talking about.
New black in marketing. And as a blogger, I was a content creator, and before the term content marketing was created, there was another term called inbound marketing, and HubSpot used that. And so sure some of you have heard of HubSpot. They essentially, what they were doing was they're inviting everyone in to, read their stuff, right? In fact, one of the main reasons I subscribed to HubSpot was because it had great content and I wanted to read it and I wanted to learn off it. So again, the theme.
See, he's like, again, content marketing, writing blogs, white papers, free webinars or courses or whatever, like anything people can freely access, right? Social media, graphics, videos. It's basically creating content and putting it out there, and people associate that content with your business. So it's like, it's a marketing tool. It's content. It's a marketing tool. So, this is what I do all day. I don't know why he did this. Content marketing is different than the blog and the other tools I was talking about, but maybe he'll clarify here.
Underlying theme here, one of the underlying strong themes here is headlines. All right. And, this one, for example, big list work. Right, you've seen them on BuzzFeed, 27 ways wombats eat food and all that crazy stuff.
It's called the listicle.
But they might seem redundant to some of you, but guess what? They work. End of story. So,
I know really highbrow writers are like, oh, listicles. But, like in the web format, it's easy to skim them. The formatting on the page looks nice. You can create some nice visual continuity with like each point. You can, have a picture that goes along with it or something. Like, I don't know. I don't think we need to poo-poo whole formats of content, but yeah.
Doesn't mean you make every one of your blog posts a mega post.
Well,
it just means that you would need to mix it up and add these from time to time. Negative headlines. So I remember I leapt on a plane and I wrote this post just before I left. And I hit London and I opened up my blog, checked my traffic stats, and this had just almost gone viral. In fact, it had gone viral. And then I said, okay, let's test it with a positive headline a week later. And the numbers, this is a few years ago, this has had about 120,000 views, and the positive one, 20 things you should share on social media, has got about 15,000. So negative headlines work, and you can teach a positive, you can teach something positive with a negative headline. So, go and test some negative headlines, guys. Really important to understand.
Yeah, it's like, this is like news 101, right? Like, we keep the story about, the kindergarten teacher who, helps her kids plant a garden. We keep that in there. But on the front page, we talk about the hit and run accident, that sells more papers. So the fact that more people would click on a negative headline, not surprising.
Controversial, we're seeing this one. Okay. It doesn't mean I was telling people to forget Facebook. It was basically why I should forget Facebook is because it's organic. If you want relying on Facebook for organic free traffic.
I wasn't telling people to forget Facebook. Dude, the headline says why you should forget Facebook. Like, obviously that was to get their attention. If they read further down, you probably sort of, put some caveats in there, but come on.
Then this is almost impossible to do these days. So that was the premise of the headline. Doesn't mean it shouldn't, some people would say, this is clickbait, Jeff. And I say, well,
it is clickbait.
It's clickbait, but it's backed up with the facts. And there was a lot of...
Yeah, all clickbait thinks it's backing itself up. I mean, most people don't think that like, oh, I'm just writing this article for clickbait. Yeah. God.
Good facts I use that here that I source from a variety of places to actually back up.
Just because you cite sources doesn't mean it's not clickbait.
This argument. Okay. Curiosity gap. Who is using Twitter? Who is using Twitter? Who's doing this? Who's doing that? You can't imagine. So BuzzFeed, Viral Nova, these are, big news sites, guys. I know that, but learn from...
And again, BuzzFeed. It's not saying BuzzFeed still isn't a website, but like using it as this example and some of the other examples he's upheld definitely puts a date on this broadcast for sure.
You can learn a lot from how these guys actually use the social web to drive traffic. So the curiosity gap headline, ask a question. You can't believe what happened when blah, blah, blah. So understand the importance of not giving away what your whole blog post is about. You basically want to tempt them to click and read. All right. So the curiosity gap works.
Tip number 5 blew my mind.
The topical headline. And you might find that certain topics within industries change, like in social media, visual content marketing, visual content is really become top of mind. Infographics were hot 2 or 3 years ago, and they still work well, but they were really hot 2 or 3 years ago. So just think about what is trending in your industry and then work that way.
I feel like this section's kind of a throwaway section. It's like, write engaging headlines. Talk about things that people are talking about online. Make your content easy to share. Like, this just feels like, I don't know, it could have all been on one slide pretty easily.
I've got a lot of people's blogs and or websites, and I'm going, okay, I want to share this. And I go looking for the share buttons, and I can't find them. Or they're so small, or they're buried at the bottom, or it's one little button that opens up, and then you can share it. Don't make it hard to share. Really important to understand that. Okay, it is the social web. Now, this is one lesson I learned.
I went back just a little bit. Now, keep this in mind. At the time of the recording of this, and so we're looking at the graphic here, or the graphic he has on the screen, he said 4 million visitors to his website, I think a year. So that's over 300,000 visits a month. So imagine a world where you have a website. It's 10 years ago. You have a website. Social media is kind of new. You get over 300,000 visitors to your website. This is one of your blogs, and it gets shared around 6,000 times, it looks like, if we add these up from Twitter to Facebook and all of that. So, and it has, really faintly, it has 11 comments. Okay. Now picture that we have infinitely more social media websites now than we did back then. And yeah, like, please you can add the share buttons, but like, it's not going to get as shared if you have less traffic than he does, and if you are doing this in present day versus doing it 10 years ago. Just wanted to sort of give a little realistic sort of what you can expect in terms of sharing while he's talking about it.
Or they're so small, or they're buried at the bottom, or it's one little button that opens up and then you can share it. Don't make it hard to share. Really important to understand that.
I think having a small button is fine as long as you have a share button.
Okay, it is the social web. Now, this is one lesson I learned after reading a Tim Ferriss blog post a few years ago.
Oh, Tim Ferriss is one I got to do. I have 2 of his books. I've tried. I'm just not like a program marketer biohacker who wants to work 4 hours a week. I think that's a little bit gross. But the one thing I did learn from Tim Ferriss is he was telling a story about how he had his vitamin company, and he had people who were working in the call center. You know, when people had problems or something, they would call the toll-free number. And he gave all of the telephone people permission that if a problem costs less than $50 to solve, that they could just solve it for the customer, send a replacement, give them a refund, whatever. And then eventually he upped it to $100. And basically a bunch of his problems went away because he was empowering people in customer service to actually solve the problems. And so I do the same thing in my company, which is like, if we can solve the problem for money, like, you have permission to do that to a certain extent. So that is the one thing I learned from Tim Ferriss. I did his weird eating protocol and gave myself a little bit of a mini eating disorder. But that's neither here nor there. So anyway, I'll be curious what he's learned from Tim Ferriss.
Evergreen content. In other words, if you're writing just topical news-based content, that's going to be old news tomorrow. It isn't worth sharing again. So you can't retweet it.
Yeah. it's hard to be a news source, right? It's hard to stay on top of all that. So you want at least some of your content to be stuff that works multiple times, not just for one day.
You can't tweet it again a few days later, or even a month later. So principle-based content, such as this one, 10 Commandments of Content Marketing, understand the importance of evergreen content. That means I can keep sharing it, all right? And it has endurance. Important to understand evergreen content. Now, repurpose your content. Really important to understand that you not only need to publish it on your blog or your website, you need to put it in all sorts of other places.
I wonder if this is this issue thing that was going, it was like issue spelled interestingly, that was going around a few years ago. I don't know. It seemed like a lot of extra work for me to put my content on this other platform, but
in fact, BuzzFeed, their web traffic has stayed much the same, about 80 million, I think, unique viewers a month. But now there's about 6 billion views on other different media sites all around, from YouTube to Facebook to Twitter to Flipboard. So what I do,
Flipboard, I think that's what this is.
with all of my content here is actually get shared onto Flipboard as a matter of course. And this...
yeah, a few years ago, okay, 10 years, whatever, this thing was happening. They were all trying to get us marketing people to be like, oh, like you should curate your content. And I'm like, isn't that what my website is for? Like, no, this is like an issue of a magazine. And I was like, this is one of those things I haven't gotten on every train, okay? I never got on the Snapchat train, and I never got on this Flipboard issue train.
Flipboard is about 50 million users now. So think about repurposing. Repurposing can be putting content onto Flipboard, LinkedIn, Facebook, Google+. Google+ don't use so more because it actually doesn't generate hardly any traffic. So
yeah, but using stuff that Google creates to share links to your content, to me, would help index it better. That's what we use the Google business stuff for. But yeah, Google Plus doesn't really exist anymore. So the Google My Business, or the Google Business, whatever they're calling it now, is the new Google tool. And yeah, it doesn't generate you a lot of traffic, but I don't know. I want Google to know all of my different URLs in the place that Google wants me to share them.
Again, you've got to work out what platforms work within your niche. If you're in interior design, photography, then Pinterest is going to be big. Female demographic, Pinterest is going to be great. Instagram, younger generation, lots of...
A lot of dudes use Pinterest too, especially in other countries, just saying. But yeah, it sounds like he's talking not just to content marketers or marketing people or full-time content creators. He's talking to like small business owners, it sounds like. So this seems, yeah, you're going to have to write all these blogs, and then we want you to put them in a freaking issue of something that lives somewhere else that's not your website.
Of food and so on.
Who wants
to
to
understand
do that?
where you should be putting that content. Last tactic is you need to understand the power of mobile. When I started the blog, there was really very, very, the smartphone had only just been out, I think, 1 year. And what's happened is that mobile is becoming...
Oh, look, he's got a little Vine icon on his little mobile screen. Oh, Flickr and Google Plus. Look at that. Look at the old Instagram icon. This is retro. Love it.
One of the biggest drivers of traffic. In other words, you've got to make sure that you're optimizing your blog, your website for mobile, and then make it easy for sharing.
We used to, back in the day when mobile was getting started, we would make a mobile version of the website and a desktop version of the website. And so when you change something, you'd have to change it in 2 places. It was kind of a pain in the butt. And then plugins came out for WordPress that would help make this a little easier. So there was one called Ebooks Mobile that I used for a long time with my clients. And essentially, it was funny. I was updating a website today that hasn't been touched in a long time. They're a super old client, and their whole website was down. And I said, well, how about I just update it? And I logged in, and Ebooks Mobile was still a plugin back there. And they had the 2011 WordPress theme. So like the site's been online for a while, but point being is that it would take your content and it would make it mobile friendly. So like it was a separate mobile site, but you could manage it on your WordPress account. And now what we do obviously is we just design websites responsively, which means that, they sort of optimize themselves on whatever screen size that they're on. But yeah, you could definitely see this shift, and he's probably going to show it now in traffic between mobile and desktop over time.
So just to give you an idea, when I changed from a static site, well, basically just a desktop site to a mobile site, traffic went from 6% to only 23% from mobile. So over a 300% change.
Yeah, if you make your site easier to read on mobile, you're going to get more mobile traffic. That totally makes sense to me.
So if you haven't changed your site to being mobile friendly, I think it's time to do it. So here's just an example of making it easy to read on a mobile. Here's a shot done showing you essentially that you can read the post easily. You can scroll down through here. Calls to action can be also made so they're mobile friendly. Okay, here's an example using a theme as a demo here. The other one is use an app as well. Now, an app's maybe not essential, but the cost of actually getting an app developed for your site is now becoming cheaper and cheaper. So
it's still kind of it's still kind of expensive for small businesses unless you have a specific purpose for the app. Think about it. Think about if you had to download an app when you wanted to visit a website on your mobile device. Wouldn't that be annoying? Like, I understand if it's like an online store I shop at a lot and I can save my favorites or I can virtually try something on or something. That gives me a reason to download a mobile app, or it has special information in it that I can't get anywhere else. But most people do not want to download an app in order to interact with your content. So unless you have a specific use case, you still don't want to pay mobile app developers to make you an app unless you really know what you want it to do.
And as technology has simplified doing things, and we find that this is really important.
Maybe a bunch of people watch Jeff Bullas before they talk to me, because man, about 7 or 8 years ago, I had to talk people out of apps like every other week because I knew mobile developers and they were like, yeah, it's going to be 10 grand just for the iOS app. And then the businesses would be like, oh, and then they find out that their website I wanted to design them was, $3 grand. And they were like, oh, that's easier. And it'll be mobile friendly. And I'm like, yeah. So anyway, maybe they all watched this Jeff Bullas talk and that's why they all wanted apps. But it seems to have quieted down in the last few years. So maybe the app surge has gone away. And like I said, if you have a specific purpose for an app, like by all means, make an app. There are some great apps out there that I'm thankful that they exist, that I am happy to pay for even. But not every small business needs an app, contrary to popular belief.
So mobile, create a responsive website for your or blog, make it easy for people to share, and make it easy for people to subscribe to email list. So these calls to action.
I just want to brag for a second that I started making responsive websites in 2013, way before a lot of other people did. And the reason was because I saw that's where things were moving. And what I wanted our company to be was a leader in just giving it to people rather than them having to ask for it, and educating them on what responsive design was. So there are websites that we did almost 10 years ago. I mean, they're still online today and they should be redesigned. They were very cool 10 years ago, but yeah, we've been doing mobile or responsive websites. Maybe it was longer than 2013. It's been almost 10 years. We were pretty early adopters in this trend.
And I remember I mentioned Leadpages before. Well, Leadpages is mobile friendly. So when you create those pages, they not only are interesting or easy to view on a desktop, they're also very easy to view on a mobile. Excuse me, a drink here. So just a couple of case studies. Right to Done decided that what they do is they just grow their Twitter followers. I had a chat to Mary, and Mary decided to start building per Twitter followers in a.
It looks like the LinkedIn share, you see how it's not in line with the other ones? Oh, I want to fix it. Okay, I'm going to shut up
focused fashion using the tools I've mentioned, like Tweepy. And 3 months later, they got 65,000 followers from only having 9.5, and they were getting 274% more traffic from Twitter than when they started.
If you go from using Twitter lightly to using Twitter heavily, you're gonna get more followers, especially if you're willing to pay for some ads too.
Firebrand Talent, they now they followed my strategy in terms of building followers on Twitter. They get share gets hundreds of times, and they last 12 months they've increased their blog traffic by over 90%. So basically, what is my content publishing and
hustling process? Ew. No one wants to hustle anymore. It's after a pandemic. We've all been through enough. We don't need to work any harder than we've been working.
Process to get that traffic out there. Craft a great headline. Make sure that you're optimizing for those in search engines. Share it on social. Share it several times on Twitter. One tweet is not enough, guys. Send it to your email list. Flip it to your Flipboard magazine. Go and create one of those. Then you can turn it into a recurring tweet on social oomph. Then keep growing your Twitter followers, and then keep experimenting and measuring and see, because what's happening is the web is constantly changing.
Yeah, the web is constantly changing. So 6 and 7 just don't really exist anymore.
So these are some of the important things I understand. This is what I do after actually creating the content. So the 5 key strategies to grow your traffic. These are just the top ones. There are some other ones which I haven't touched on today.
What other ones? What other ones didn't you touch on? Also, we're at 45 minutes. This thing goes an hour. Is he going to spend 50 minutes trying to sell us something?
Social media, search engines, email, use content, and also make sure that you're optimizing for mobile. So what I've done today too in talking to Tom is that
maybe he was going to say, like, you can use like online courses, or you can use videos or something like that. But to me, that's part of content marketing. That's just different kinds of content. I wish he's like, oh, there's so many other things. Well, can you just say what they are, maybe, in case people want to look into them?
I wanted to offer some, great value for readers as well that are here on the session. And what I've done is I've got a blogging course, in other words, and touches on these things such as growing your traffic, creating great content.
Touches on those things. Okay, we're not going to listen to a freaking 15-minute sales pitch. Gross. Okay, hold on. I'm just trying to get to the Q&A part in case. And if the Q&A, by the way, is all about like the course or something, I'm going to just skip it. Yeah. Oh, the link to the special.
Take you to where you can check out a little bit more about the course. It's a landing page done in Leadpages. So I walk the talk.
I walk the talk. I'm an affiliate of them, probably. Okay, so he looks like he started shilling at the 45-minute mark. It's 48 minutes.
That's
now.
The link to go and grab.
So he just shilled for 5 minutes, depending on what these questions are going to be like.
That today, it's limited. It's available for the next 48 hours, and after that, it will be gone.
Let's create some urgency.
So
it's going to be gone after 48 hours.
All right, so let's hand it over to Q&A for the moment. So any questions out there, we're happy to answer them. And Tom, maybe you have a question? So we've got...
maybe you have a question, Tom. I guess we hadn't prepped that ahead of time, of maybe Tom had a couple of questions ready to go, because Tom is a little radio silent there.
Someone's asking, I don't have a blog site. Will this coach me how to set one up? Yes, it will go into the...
Okay. Hold on. I'm going to fast forward a little bit to see.
To do to something I believe and I'm passionate about.
Yep.
How much time a week should people be to make this effective? How much time should people be putting aside to do the blogging and do?
How much time a week? An excellent question, probably posed by a small business owner who's saying to themselves, this seems like an awful lot of work while I'm running a business.
Promotion.
Okay, so when I started, I was doing it 2 or 3 times a week. And then I started getting feedback, which actually gave me that feedback in real time that allowed me to say, well, this is working.
I wonder if he's going to say how much time. He's probably not going to. He's like, I did it 2 or 3 times a week. Okay, but how much time?
And I went up to 5 times a week. And I was actually, this is what's great about blogging too, is you actually can generate a business in parallel with your full-time job. So I got up early. In fact, I got up at 4:30 in the morning because I was so driven.
I was so driven. I got up at 4:30 in the morning.
This passionate purpose that I got up and did this for 4
I had such passion and purpose to make all this money. I just woke up at 4:30.
years. But what happened is I sort of developed this, bootstrapped myself out of having a full-time job as well as having my blog in the mornings, and it became my business. So I've basically been full-time for the last 2.5 years, because what happened is the people I was working for in a digital agency said, Jeff, you're so distracted, you're getting invited to speak around the world, you're not here very often.
Jeff, you're starting to suck at your job. Maybe you should quit.
Sorry, we're going to cut you down to 2 days a week, 1 day a week. So I sort of got myself slowly fired.
Yeah, you did.
Because
yeah, you did.
My passion project became my business. And so essentially, I found the blog is this great outlet I can run in parallel without giving up the day job, without actually risking my existing cash flow.
But how much time, Jeff? How much time?
Because a lot of people say, well, I have to go and start a business. I've got to leave my existing job. The wife goes, well, hang on, who's going to pay the bills? Oh, trust me, dear. So this sort of thing, or vice versa, the wife says, look, I want to do some giving up my day job too. So the understanding, what's happened for me, and this is happening for a lot of people now, is you can build this parallel business on the side without risking your cash flow.
If he says parallel business one more time.
So you can bootstrap it. In other words, you are absolutely minimizing the risk. So to go back to the original question,
yes,
how often you should do this? Well, I'd be looking at trying to create content at least once.
No, they asked how much time, not how often.
Once a week, but I would recommend doing it as often as you can, and because more content, better quality as you learn, and also the more you do it, the better you get at it. And when I started, I wasn't a very good writer at all, and people say, well, I'm not a writer. Well, I wasn't either, but you learn so much from the art of creation. I think as human beings,
I was told by an actual editor of a publication that I was such a bad writer that I couldn't ever write for the publication in a real way. So that's why I started my blog. So yeah, I mean, one person's opinion on your writing does not constitute everything, but being a good writer does help for a blog.
We're all innately creative. And that's really important to understand, is that the blog can be your digital portal to create. Whether you're a musician, you can actually share your music online. You can share your photography. If you
He's just vamping to avoid answering the actual question.
Love, photography. You can, if you love fashion, you can share ideas about fashion. And a passion project over time can very easily become, with focused effort, can become your opportunity to live a life that is not dictated by working for the man in the corporate office.
What's wrong with having a job? Like, the only reason you were able to start this on the side is that you had something paying you full time while you were building it up. So you don't need to disparage having a job. There's nothing wrong with having a job. I've had at least one other job since I started my business up until about 3 years ago. So 11 of the last 14 years, I have had a job in addition to my business. Don't let this man shame you. There is nothing wrong with having a real job.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's not perfect. Thank you.
I love that. I got myself, was it kind of fired? Is that what you said? I got myself kind of.
I did time theft from my employer.
Fired.
Yeah, that's right. I sort of got myself kind of fired. That's right. So,
yeah, and you know what? Like, I started my blog while I had a full-time job, and what I would do is I would only work on my job on my lunch break and after work and on the weekends. I did not do any blogging work while on the clock, because to me, if I'm being paid to do a job, I should be doing that job. And I think if you like do stuff on the side, just be really careful. Like there's nothing wrong with having a side thing and just wanting to start your own thing, but please be respectful of the employer. I mean, I always tried to be. I didn't like my job, but I was still respectful of the fact that they were paying me, and they were paying me to get something done, and I needed to get it done while I was at work.
That's what you call a quality problem, because you'd created such demand in your sort of quote unquote sort of part-time, your overt job, that you worked yourself out of your real job, which is a beautiful segue to be able to do that. I mean, how else could you do that other than through digital media?
No, well, it's very difficult to do that.
You could do it with other things. Like if you wanted to be a photographer, a lot of photography things happen in the evenings or on weekends. So you could photograph events, you could sell your photos to people who wanted to buy them. You could contract out with, event venues, and you could do graphic design. There's tons of other things besides digital marketing that you can do if you want to have a full-time job and start something on the side.
Otherwise. So this is what excites me about digital business bootstrapping, I would call that. Understanding how this digital world now works, and this is part of my passion and purpose now, is actually to help people discover their passion and purpose. This is what the blogging course is really about, is helping people, one, discover that.
Hey, you know what you could do if you were really passionate about it but had enough money, is you could offer it for free and not charge money for it.
Or enhance it and then start the journey. And that's why I created the course, and this is why I go and speak around the world, is basically helping people to market their business and their brands. Basically, helping people win at business and life in a digital world, because the reality is that life and business doesn't have to be different things. It should be life. And that's what really excites me, is that this democratization caused by this digital world allows us so cheaply now and quite easily. So we've got another question here from Jennifer.
It's cheap, but it costs you in time, and your time is worth something. And I think it's so funny that this whole thing was about, here are some free ways to drive traffic, but create an ebook. So we know that even for somebody who's quote unquote good at this, I mean, it's going to take you probably at least 10 hours to make that thing. And 10 hours of your time, while it's free, is worth something. So
how did you generate income when you first started? Jennifer, what happened was I was invited to speak in Italy, and that was one of my first ways I made money, was being invited to speak, because I was seen as an authority in my space. So that happened, and then also I wrote an ebook, which I put on Amazon, and started making money out of that. I built the email list, and then I also started making money out of recommending and promoting other people's quality online training that I believe people need to know.
So affiliates. So he did a bunch of different things, but I doubt that that's how he made his money at the beginning. I'm wondering if he just had a part-time job or something.
I understand. So there are so many ways to earn money, and from a blog. It could be selling digital products. It could be, getting more consulting.
She asked how you made money at first. And again, you're not really answering the question. So you sold an Amazon ebook and got paid to speak a couple of times, and that gave you enough money to pay a mortgage. Come on, dude. That's not, you did something else. That's stuff that takes a while for it to start actually making money. So you had to do something while it was ramping up.
And I did a fair bit of consulting as well, but it started with speaking for me. Okay, I think any other questions out there from any of you, I'm happy to answer them. So, if we haven't any more, then we might wrap it up. And the blogging course.
Just another quick.
Yep.
Just another quick one from me, Jeff. The blogging course, Blogging Mastery, $25, reduced from $197.
Oh my God, reduced from $197. Of course it is. Hold on, I'm fast forwarding this part.
To your website.
Yep.
So no real reason not to do it, I wouldn't think. Jeff, thanks so much, and thank everyone for rocking up. We will be attempting to organize a replay. Hopefully the recordings work well, and we'll get that replay out, and you'll be able to see also when we do the replay. We can do a replay, Jeff. I should check with you first.
I'll try and organize that, guys. So yeah,
so we'll get a link out to everyone with the replay, and I think you can.
Is there a lot to organize?
Get value from this at two levels. One is the actual, probably three levels, the content that Jeff's delivered. Number one. Number two is doing the blogging mastery program itself. But number three is just to sit back and see how Jeff does things. Subscribe obviously to his blog, get onto his mailing list, and just have a look at exactly what he's doing and when he's doing it and how he's doing it, and you'll be able to learn a lot from that as well. Once again, thanks so much, Jeff, for giving up your time.
Thanks, Tom, for hosting it.
Everyone's disconnecting. Okay, all the best, everyone. Cheers.
Okay, catch you.
So there's another kind of person in this space that is similar to Jeff Bullas. His name is Darren Rouse. He had the website problogger.net. He might still have it. But for a while, he had these income reports that he would do every month. And he wouldn't show you how much money he made, but he would show the percentage of his income from speaking, affiliate sales to other products, courses. I'll put a couple of examples on the screen if I can find some. They're relatively old because he doesn't do it anymore. But point being is you see that these people who make a lot of money blogging are actually doing a series of different things to make money off of their blog. It's not just writing the blog. They're doing things related to it. And that's what's actually making their money. And obviously the graphs will look different for different people. But yeah, it's a diversification of income, if you will. So what did we learn from Jeff Bullas? Well, we got a general course in internet marketing, as there are 5 ways to drive traffic. One is social media. Another is search engine optimization, which is making your site work well for search engines. Email marketing. Content marketing, which is like ebooks and creating resources that people want to give their email in order to receive. And making your website mobile friendly, because most of your traffic over time is going to come from mobile. Do I think Jeff Bullas knows what he's talking about? I do. I don't think you need to take a $25 or $50 or $197 blogging course. I feel like you could just blog. And, a few years ago, I ran a 30 days blogging challenge that I did for free. Maybe I could do it again. I think it's all loaded in my email marketing software. It's just a matter of maybe going back through the content and sort of retooling it a little bit. But yeah, if you want to blog, just start blogging. You don't need a course to do it. You're going to spend about 50% of your time writing the blogs, finding resources, formatting it and all that. And you're going to spend 50% of the time marketing it. He didn't say this part, but putting the links on social media, resharing it on Twitter several times, putting it in your email newsletter template and sending it out, all those kind of things, is people kind of don't understand that you do spend a lot of time talking about the thing you created, as much time as you spent probably creating it. It seems a little insane, but that's about how it works out. And while Jeff Bullas didn't tell you how long this stuff takes, I am telling you that my cruddy little ebook, which I'd like to redo at some point, took me between probably 10 and 15 hours. And I would say the average blog post probably takes me 1 to 2 hours by the time I write it up, interlink everything, make an image that goes with it, and all of that. And so I probably should spend 1 to 2 hours also promoting it. So just giving you some numbers there. Obviously, it's easier to batch content. So if you've got a slow day and you want to get, 5 or 7 blogs written, you can be super efficient about it and kind of do them in a more batch format. And that allows you to not be kind of dipping in and out of work. So it can make you a little bit more efficient and a little bit quicker at writing sometimes, especially when one of your blog posts is getting long. You can say, oh, cut it in 2, which is what I did with this video, because I did not think you wanted to watch a 3-hour video. I know I wouldn't. So yeah, If you want to go follow Jeff Bullas, that's fine. He seems to have peaked and is kind of on the downward trend, but there's other people, Neil Patel, Darren Rouse, and lots of other sort of dude optimization people that you can follow as well. But you can also follow my channel and probably get a lot of that content as well. If you have a guru that you want me to react to, or even a specific video, you can leave it as a comment on this video. Or if you're more shy, you can fill out the contact form of the website. And yeah, I won't tell anyone. It'll be our secret. And you can tell me about the things I should be talking about. I'm super open to it. And I'm trying to film a lot of these ahead because I'm going to be traveling and then moving after I'm done traveling. The month is going to be crazy. So I'm pre-recording a bunch of these and I am in full-on allergy mode. So if in the last few videos, you've been worried about me with my stuffed up nose and like rubbing it all the time, it's essentially allergy season and I'm allergic to my dog. So there's just a lot of stuffiness, which will hopefully be cleared up the next time we see each other. I appreciate you watching. If you did like this, please share it with somebody or like it. And if it would make my freaking day if you would subscribe, because I'm trying to get to 1,000 so that I can do things like post status updates and monetize and all kinds of other fun stuff. So every person literally at this point is helping me get there. So thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day and I will see you next time. Take care, my bootstrapping friends. Oh, Jeff Bullas.